Hi everyone, I'm Tom. I'm going to be showing you Mutagen, which is a new game from designer Alexandros Kapadakis and publisher Duranda Games. It's on Kickstarter right now. The link to the campaign's in the corner of the screen or the description. It's a worker placement game with a unique kind of twist that the places you place the workers have actions, the type of worker you place has a special action, and then that worker might be mutated, giving you extra things to do. I'm just going to give a quick overview in this video. If you would like to see it in more detail and an actual game being played, I do have a playthrough video as well. So in Mutagen, it's the future. There's been industrial revolutions. We've found a great shard. We've worked out how to mutate ourselves. Our leader is dying. The best player of Mutagen will take over. At the start of a round, we will get to draft mutation cards. This is a worker placement game, but our workers will mutate and power up over the course of the game. So say in a two-player game, we'll get the choice of 3 cards, and they might let you do things like grab extra elements, get extra shards that are kind of the currency to do a lot of the things in the game, do extra orders at a discount. There's one that just gets you points, move up your element tracks. There's loads of different things that they can end up doing. It will cost you this smaller amount, though, to activate that action. So maybe I'm worried about money. Maybe I want to mutate my thug like that. And there are some deluxe components which mean we can actually mutate the meeples as well. So there's his drill arm. So we can mutate our workers. We've got 4 different kinds of workers. We've got the engineer, the spy, the thug, and the robot. The robot can't be mutated, but has some extra effects anyway. So we will mutate, we'll draft new things from there. Then we come to worker placement. We will each take 4 turns, placing a worker somewhere on the board and activating all of the effect. Each area of the board has got spaces equal to the number of players. You can go there multiple times if there's space for you. So say I want to just get some stuff done with that thug. So I want to come over to a resource gathering location. There are several things that I can do with that worker now. Each location has a main action. That's one of your options. You have an extra effect based on the kind of worker that brought you here. So I brought my thug. That means I could take an extra element from the corresponding area. And I took my thug, who had previously mutated, so I could spend 0 shards to gain 3 shards. And I can do any of those 3 things in any order I like. So I could gain the shards, just because there's no downside to that. I get an element from here and an element from here. The elements can be spent to advance along these tracks where only the type matters. So there's ore, there's liquid there's gas, and there's crystal. There's all the types. They can be spent to fulfill these orders at the Great Tree. There only the colour matters rather than the type. Let's say I'm going to grab this one and this one. Now, when you gain resources, you can either put them in your storage for those 2 things that I said, or you can improve your airship. Certain spaces don't care what tile goes on there if it's just grey. Some spaces want you to put a specific colour there, and later on we can get these extra storage tiles that might care about the type you place on there. So when you gain resources, you can pop them on. They have to be different. They can't match like a type or a colour, being adjacent. But these are going to get you 2 points each at the end of every round. There are 4 rounds in the game. Filling in columns will get you 1, 2, or 3 points depending on which column it is, but it's going to cost more and more shards to fill these with storage tiles first. If I'd come here with my spy instead, I could have grabbed this crew card. You have to pay for them, but they're going to give you points at the end of the game based on your position on the element tracks. So it might care about a particular space that you've reached on one of the element's tracks. It might judge you based on how far you've moved up a pair of tracks. 2 points for the lowest track you've moved on ores or gas. Be in the lead of one of the tracks at the end of the game. All things based around your position in there. And if I'd come with an engineer, I could have had this storage tile. So that's 3 bonuses. What about the robot? He can't be mutated. What can he do? If you place a robot in a worker placement spot, you can choose which type you want him to be for the bonus. Downside is, can't be mutated. So the resource gathering spots work in a similar way. The bonus is the same, but it's just that you would get this storage tile or this card if you came over here. Let's talk for a second about reactions. So if Marty had already gone in the space where I placed, Marty would then get to do a reaction. He pays the higher cost on a mutation of that worker. You can choose one of the 2 mutations if they've got 2, and activate it because I went to a place where he is later. And if you can't or don't want to activate your mutations, or if you can't or don't want to do any part of your placement, you can have a shard instead. Workers without mutations don't react, and so don't get a shard if they can't react. At the tree, you can spend elements from your storage to fulfill as many orders as you like. Remember, they care about the colours. You will earn shards for completing the orders, and at the end of the game, every card you've completed is worth a point. Every pair of the same colour is worth 3 points. You can also do tricky things like, when you've spent all of your elements to fulfill these orders, you can pick a type that you've spent, and instead of those elements just being spent and going away, you can move up that type's track as many spaces as you spent resources to do these orders. Or, if you sent your engineer, you could pick a colour, and for every colour that you spent to do the orders, you can put them straight on your airship, so you kind of get to double dip. You spent the resource for the order and either the element track or improving your airship. Down here at the progress track, you can spend increasing number of shards to move increasing number of spaces along this track, and there are certain bonuses that are printed on the board, getting points. Going on or past these spaces get you the points on the track, but there are also spaces that will be different every game that can get you things like elements from anywhere on the board, storage tiles from anywhere on the board, cards from anywhere on the board, and you can also get some bonus shards, grab a bonus element tile, or fulfill orders from down here without even having to take that as an action. At the end of each round, you get 2 points for every element that you put in your airship, plus any points for completed columns of storage tiles. You get points based on how far you got along each element's track. So 2 points for one space, 3 points for the 2 or 3 space, or 4 points if you got further than that. So getting far early on one of the tracks is going to reward you for the whole game, same as improving your airship. We pass first player, we reset. We have 4 rounds, and then at the end of the game, you get points for your crew cards that you've taken and hopefully satisfied their conditions. You get points for your order cards. Every 3 shards at the end is worth a point, and most points wins and becomes the new keeper of the shard. There are loads of mutations to be had, loads of deluxe little pieces to be put on your meeples, whether that's tentacles or robot arms or great big claws, great big stone hands. And already there is going to be a solo mode from David Digby. There are going to be expansion modules, one from David Tortzi, one from Johnny Pack. As I say, if you'd like to know more, then you can check out the campaign page linked in the description. You can check out my playthrough that I'll link in the description as well if you would like to see the game in action. And there we go, that is Mutagen. I hope you enjoyed this overview. If you'd like to see more from me, there's loads of playthroughs on the channel. I am going to talk a little bit about what I think about the game. If you would like to stick around for that, it's coming up. But if not, no worries. Thanks for watching. I'll see you for the next game. But if you would like to see it, here it is. Hi everyone, here I am in visual form, and I'm going to talk about what I think about Mutagen. If you would like to know that, I was paid to make the playthrough video. Bear that in mind. And who am I? I'm Tom. Hiya. So this is a really cool worker placement game with a lot of little twists to, like, it's a tried and tested system on many games, but it's got a couple of things, like not just the types of workers, and going to the different locations is going to make a difference on the action that they are going to take there. And you've got that robot as the wild card that lets you like reuse one of those little things as well. You've got the mutations on the workers that are going to build up over time. So you're just going to start with like one around, but it's a nice decision of whether to double up on those things, get really powerful effects, chain little combos on when you place a particular worker, you know, put a load of things on your brute, and when you place him, that's going to be a big action, get less done on the other workers. And they can really make a nice little engine for you, whether it's earning shards, whether it's advancing on the element tracks, you know, doing certain things like getting extra elements, doing the orders without actually having to go to the location. There's a lot of ways around actually just placing a worker there and doing it, like spending all the elements to go and fulfill a great load of orders. You've got enough elements to do all 3 orders in one great big go, going to get you a ton of shards, but then you've got the extra thing of if you place the right worker there, you could use them to fill up your airship, which is going to give you a load of points at the end of every round. The sooner you can do that, the better. Or go straight onto the element tracks, the same. They're going to score at the end of every round, and they're going to help to fulfill all of the crew cards as well. So there's a lot that goes into the decisions of, you know, what to apply your mutations for, which ones you want to take, and the order in which you can take it all as well. Because when you place that worker, you can decide to take that main effect, the worker effect, the mutation effects in any order you like. So that can be a really important factor for chaining all of these lovely things together. But with all of that to think about, it's still a very easy game to get engaged in. The rules and actual structure of the rounds are actually very simple to get to grips with. It's all what you do once you're there and what the other players do as well, because the other thing, the mutations give you the chance for reactions as well. You want to place in locations early so that when other people go there, you'll get a chance to react. But it also means that, you know, you don't want to use certain workers too late, because they are going to not provoke reaction if like you're the last person to place there, but you also want to have your kind of economy going, so you've got enough shards to activate those things, because the mutation powers are quite cheap and sometimes free to activate when you actually place the worker, but getting those reactions later can be a lot more costly, and there are so many things that you want to spend those shards on, whether it's picking up the crew cards, whether it's advancing on the progress track as well. You want to spend as much as possible to whiz around that and get a ton of bonuses, but you always want to leave yourself with some shards in hand, so that when somebody hopefully goes to one of the places that you're at, you can get benefits of that. And that is going to expand. Like, there's plenty of that still at 2 players, but that's going to expand as well in games with more players, that you could potentially, if you're the first to place in a popular location, you could potentially get a few reactions chaining off that if the other players come there later too. It's got gorgeous artwork by the Miko. It is going to have solo mode by David Digby and expansion modules by David Tortzi and Johnny Pack. All 3 of those names trust in greatly, but just as it is in the base game and the prototype that I have, Alexandros has done an amazing job with the game. I say it is fast playing, it is easy to learn, but once you are in there, the kind of scope for combos and how other players can affect what you're going to get, what order you do things in, it really makes a satisfying, thinky experience without being like a really heavy thing. Like, you're getting 16 actions in the game, right? Yeah, you're getting 4 placements in 4 rounds, and you desperately want to try and build up those elements, the tracks and the elements stored on your airships, or just like the storage. There's so many like different ways that you can build up this stuff early on that's going to pay off later, or you just want to like, you can make a great case for just going and spending all of those elements at the orders and having a ridiculous number of shards to pick up things later and just be whizzing around that progress track. Like, depending on the rewards that come out for that and the order that they're in, yeah, it can make a big difference. You can be whizzing around element tracks just going around that if that thing is out for the game, or it could be getting you crew cards and extra elements and things. Just so many extra bits. I was going to wrap up, but I just so much stuff to say. But yes, very much enjoyed it. You can see the playthrough to see the game in action. You can, well, you've just watched the overview. This is the end of that, isn't it? I'm getting my wires crossed now. But yeah, I've had a fantastic time with it, just in its prototype form. The Kickstarter page is linked in the description. You can see how to make the game happen, how to get hold of it once it does happen, and what it's going to entail as well, is what I was trying to say. Those see what entails in those extra modules and things that the final game is going to have. If you'd like to see more from me, there are hundreds of playthroughs on the channel. You could see more things from Dranda Games. They've published some amazing things. I Love Trains, not just an island with one train on it. Solar Sphere, Explorers of Novoria. And there's an expansion for it. I'll cover that at some point soon. But yeah, for now, Mutagen is on Kickstarter right now. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye.